Hello and welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the Eric C. Yetter tournament. This is version 29.22 from Tyler State Park, sponsored by Bucks County Disc Golf Alliance and BS Upshot. Also brought to you in part by our Patreon family. Thanks to all of them, thanks to all of you. I am Dave Oster. I will be bringing you commentary for today's tournament. Hurricane Ian will also be joining us, at least the remnants, for our players to battle with today, starting with the 9th place finisher from last year's Brian Brain Hart, as well as the 3rd place finisher we saw him on coverage last year, Josh Connell, a former world champion and winner of the Masters 60 Plus last year, Joseph Mela. Just 3 players for this first round to try to get through this round as quickly as we can given the weather, but we'll still see some exciting golf from these 3 players starting on the west side of Tyler State Park, so holes 19 through 36. Round 2 will be holes 1 through 18 to decide the tournament. And Brain starting off with a pretty good forehand shot. Lefty Josh Connell trying to match his angle. Not too bad. Needs to get a little bit further up the hill to really have a chance at that birdie. And our second lefty, Joe, going with the backhand roller, gets through the trees, rolls up, and right by that big tree is the basket, so he will have a shot. Interesting 3 players on this card, where Brain being a righty but exclusively forehand player, and 2 almost exclusively backhand lefties. Every player on this card will be playing with that predominant left to right shot, so taking a different approach to Tyler State Park than most players. It'll be interesting to see for this round, as Joe has the first real run at a birdie, just barely missing it past the tree. After Josh and Brain give it their upshots, they will be pretty much tapping in their pars. And starting off with 3 after Joe comes over and taps in his putt as well. And as you can see and hear, there is rain. It comes in and out throughout the whole round. Sometimes so heavy we can't keep it off the lens, so we do apologize for that. But we were there, and we're going to bring you what we can. Let's move to hole 20, par 3, 375 feet. Severely downhill. Basket is tucked to the right just at the last second. From the tee, almost a tunnel shot. Really going to have to choose your disc correctly, given the difference in stability going so severely downhill. And Brain does a pretty good job at that. He'll have maybe circle's edge look for his birdie. And Josh looks like he turned it over a little bit. Maybe got a bad kick to the left. We'll see exactly where he wound up. Joe going a little bit inside and also catching a tree, kicking to that left side. So we'll see what approach angle they have. Joe looks like he's setting up straight, a little bit of a left finish, or excuse me, a right finish for his shot. Oh, and catches a tree coming into the green. He may have a long look to save his par. And Josh looks like he's further left over near the next hole's basket. And he leaves a little meat on the bone there, so still a couple of guys with work to do to save their pars. Joe actually has more of a throw than a actual bid, but actually gives it one. And Brain for his birdie luck. Just a bit high. Not too bad though. Couldn't easily skip far past this basket. And Josh just off the chains. Would have been a nice par save. So Brain in for his par. Josh coming up with a bogey, followed up by Joe again. So conditions certainly very tough today. Scoring opportunities aren't super common anyway. Real quick, I want to tell you guys about something we got going on. We're giving away this Innova Air Force stamped USDGC Rock 3 in conjunction with the tournament going on the Pro Tour. It is being given away over on our Patreon, so you can check that out at patreon.com/HyzerMedia. For now, we'll head back to hole 21. Par 3, 211 feet. Basically want to throw it over that log pile and finish to the right. Works out pretty well for these three players, having that left to right predominant throw. Brain and now Josh not quite able to get it clean through there. Short enough hole that it should be easy enough to get up and down. We'll see if Joe can hit the line a little cleaner. And it looks like he did just that. Just barely skipping past that tree. You'll have a putt for the first birdie of the round. Oh, Brain just catching one branch. Probably couldn't even see it from his vantage point, but able to skip close enough to he'll have a long look at it to save his par. And Josh with the actual first birdie. That must have been circle 2's edge, maybe outside. Great putt. Took the honor of the first birdie away from Joe, who's essentially parked. Another look at it. Little gap you had to hit. Nice. No wobble. Little hyzer the whole way. Brain just a bit high. And another second birdie for the card. So both Josh and Joe getting back the stroke they lost in the last hole. And unfortunately switching with Brain as he gets his bogey. So switching up the scores for these guys as we move over to hole 22. Our first par 4, 375 feet. Second half of the hole is severely uphill, as we can see. Gotta really find a way up through these trees. It's wider if you stay towards the right side, but that might be a little bit more difficult for the lefties and the forehander. As you see, Josh trying to throw the turnover, comes in a little inside, lands at the bottom of the hill. And Joe with a better shape, and he gets quite a bit further. Still going to be on the left side, was a little bit tighter. You want to be on that right side, but he should still be able to have a look to get up and down. And Brain is also on the left side. So all three of these guys are on the tougher side. Going to make it difficult to get all the way up to the green from here. And Brain catching some stuff. Winding up about halfway up the hill. Big high turnover for Josh. And looks like he came up a little bit short, so has some work to get up there. Maybe a long look again, similar to the last hole. And Joe, beautiful shot up to the green. He looks like he's going to have 2 birdies in a row. Brain, you can see, still not in great position, throwing up and over. And actually probably a helpful tree there, as he was going far past the green. Josh a little bit further, but he's under the basket for his par. And Brain with a great putt to save his par. Wasn't really in position at all during the hole, but got just enough to get that long putt to get in. And 2 birdies in a row for Joe, so under par for the first time. As Josh puts in his par putt. Another back down the hill hole, par 3, 318 feet. The log pile will be what you're trying to miss if you go down the left side. There's also the more open right side for these guys if they're going for the turnover. They could do that. Basically, if you get past the log pile in the air, your disc will likely have the momentum to get up to the basket. And just needed to miss that tree. Joe catches it. So Josh with a similar line but too low, catching that log pile. The biggest defense on this hole. See if the forehand line does anything different. Oh, and Drain turns this over a lot. He is in the thick rough on the left side. It looks like he made it up a little bit further than Josh, so catching that tree. That's going to be another long putt for Josh to save his par. And Brain actually kicking most of the way through, had somewhat of a clean look up to the green, not necessarily able to run the basket. Joe with the closest look, still a turnover to get up there. And looks like these guys are just going to be tapping in their pars. Excuse me, Josh still has a putt left and almost ran it. Similar distance to hole 21, but not able to ring it up. A little bit of a drop off behind. Maybe made him hesitant to give it a full go. So now they'll be tapping in, but Josh will be tapping in the unfortunate bogey. And after the tee shot, I don't think Brain can be too unhappy with the par there. So all ones on the scorecard. Joe under par as we move over to par 5, but only 551 feet. Surprising numbers in this hole, but it certainly does play like a par 5. OB long. First shots are really just trying to get around the corner, then maneuver their way down the fairway, which is most of the hole, and get up to the green with a chance for a birdie. Certainly birdieable hole, but the 550 feet is a little deceiving for how difficult the hole actually plays. Brain with a good shot up the hill, maybe a little close to that tree, but if he's got swing room, that's a pretty much ideal position. Josh looks like he's in the rough on the left side. I guess a little bit further past where Joe is. In the fairway. And yeah, that's about all as you can really do with the lefty backhand. And Josh not in a fun position. There is out of bounds on that left side if you go too far down the hill, but I believe Josh avoided that, but didn't make too much progress up the fairway. Hopefully he's in a better spot to get out for the next throw. And a decent amount of ground play for Brain to get up to the right side of the fairway. Probably be able to approach the basket on the next throw. And I believe Josh pitched out from where he was and got to that shot, which is a pretty good shot. He'll be near the green now. Joe with his third shot will be looking at a very short approach. Pretty good position right in the middle. This would be Brain's third shot, getting the opportunity to get just a bit closer. He may have a long look at it for the birdie. And he's set, and it does. It slopes away behind the basket. Can easily roll down. There is a bit of a rock drainage to stop you from going all the way out of bounds, but it is back there, probably 35 or 40 feet. Oh, just left side. Does stay in bounds. We see those rocks at the bottom, preventing him from going out of bounds. He missed the comebacker. So Brain likely going from birdie to bogey. Best opportunity for it on this hole. These two guys will just be tapping in their pars. This is certainly one of the more difficult holes on the course, coming in at 2/3 of a stroke over par, so on the top quarter of the hardest holes as we move over to hole 25. A little bit easier, although there is OB left and right. 336. OB all the way around, technically playing as an island, but the only thing you have to cross is this road right in front of you. Drop zone if you do not make it inbounds off the tee. And pretty good angle, looked like. Oh, but cut all the way up the hill. Not unlikely for a roller to go up the hill and out of bounds. You're usually more worried about the bottom of the hill. But Joe must have just chose a disc that really wanted to climb. And great shot by Josh. In the circle. We'll have a birdie look at that. Very high. Brain trying to get up and over those trees and maybe just catching a little bit of it inbounds. So now Joe throwing 3. Needs that to fade back, and it just never does. Kept waiting for that disc to finish right, but really just went straight on him. So he'll either have to choose to run it from long or lay up for his 5. And he did run it and luckily catches some basket. Not going out of bounds. Oh no. The shortest putt of the group, and Josh just misses everything and skips to the very close out of bounds past the basket. Unfortunate for him. And the double for Joe after the out of bounds throw. But we move over to hole 26, par 4, 438 feet. Pretty much want to set yourself up on your first shot to be able to approach this basket up on the mound on your second shot, and even then you might most likely be laying up because it does drop off severely behind the basket. Left side goes down off the tee pad, which players will often aim for. Brain looks like he kicked and he's right down on that left side. You can stay up high on the right side, but you can see it's a much more narrow gap. That is where the walking path goes, so you could potentially land there, as Josh does beautifully. Set yourself up for more of a straight shot. For these lefties, it'll be more of an easy hyzer instead of the turnover that a righty backhand will be doing. And Joe gets down into the valley there. Not a bad spot to set himself up for a second shot. And Josh, just a bit inside, kicks over to the other mound. Brain with the tomahawk, hitting through just barely. Not quite close enough to the hill to run it, but should have an easy up and down from there. And Joe catching that last tree. He'll have a decision to make. He's about close enough to run it if he wants to. And you can see the conditions making it super slick. Josh barely able to get up to his lie. Does eventually make it up there. Oh, and almost made it perfect position to save the par. But it slid down. More of what Brain did is what Josh was looking to have done, but obviously from out of position, it was a great shot just to get up there clean. And looks like he's giving it a bit just short. So par for Joe. Really played the hole as well as you can. Caught the one tree that prevented him from maybe being confident enough to run it. Brain also able to salvage his par after kicking off the first tree on the tee shot, and the unfortunate bogey for Josh. As we move over to hole 27, another par 4, 489 feet, manned out to the right of the tree we see with the yellow ribbon on it. Pretty much just got to throw straight with a bit of a right to left movement once you get far enough up. Setting up for your second shot further around the corner. Basket tucked away on the right side of the fairway. Different than last year's tournament where it was all the way down, maybe another 200 to 250 feet down the end of the corridor on a severe slope. This basket position is certainly much easier. Still a par 4. Getting up to the top of the hill really is all you need in the first shot. Joe fortunate to kick back to the middle of the fairway. He was leaking a little bit right. Josh with a good looking turnover. Finishes a little bit left side. We'll see exactly what he has, but that was pretty good distance. And great turnover for Joe. He's up. That might be in circle 2's edge from not getting a lot of distance off the tee. And you'll see that as kind of a theme at Tyler State Park if you've never played here or seen coverage of it before. As Josh gets into maybe circle 1, circle 2. The par 4s and 5s are not super far, but the difficulty of the course makes them true to their pars. Under 500-foot par 4, we saw the 550-foot par 5, but certainly not holes that you're going to be looking to score much closer to a birdie than a par on average. Oh, and bouncing around, Brain gets it into the basket for his first birdie of the round, I believe, bringing him back to just 1 over par. And a couple of par putts for Josh and Joe. After not being in the greatest position off the tee, it's honestly a pretty good result. And that will be our front 9 for the first round here at Tyler State Park for the Eric C. Yetter tournament. Thank you all for watching. We're going to be over on the back 9 or the last 9 of the 36 holes here at Tyler State Park. Again, round 2 will be out tomorrow. It'll be 1 through 18, so be sure to tune in for that. If you haven't done so, you can subscribe to be alerted for that. Thank you to our supporting sponsors of this tournament, and thanks for checking it out. We will be right back for the back 9. See you in the next hole.